Hey everybody, it's your girl Annette J. Morris, the owner and CEO of Gold Getter LLC and your host for the Mind TV series. Y'all know every week I bring y'all somebody pretty dynamic, pretty super, that's going to talk about the things that they are doing and ways to help you move your life in new directions because it's helping them to move their life in new directions. So this week I have, let me let him introduce himself.
I'm Shelton D. Johnson Sr., and my whole thing in life is really helping people. I help entrepreneurs replace self-doubt and limiting belief with the confidence to build sustainable growth.
Absolutely, and I know, let me say Pastor Shelton. This is how I know him as Pastor Shelton. So you gave your pitch. How do you help people to do these things? Because you know, you and I talk on a consistent basis.
Right.
A lot of things you are helping families to move in different directions as far as like income, revenue, sustainability, long-term wealth, all of those things. Tell the people how you do that. In what line of businesses that you do that in.
So everything in life really starts with the mind. So I
That's
tell
why that's
people,
the name of the show, y'all. The Mind.
So I'm big on the mind. In fact, just recently God told me to start focusing on the paradigm, and that's a whole nother topic.
Okay.
But the paradigm is actually how everything operates is from the paradigm.
Okay.
But not to get into that. So what I teach people is the first thing is we want to know where you're going, right? Because the Bible says that God sees the end from the beginning.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. So I don't know if a lot of people know Grant Cardone, but one of the things he talks about in the 10X, he talks about one of the mistakes he made was he didn't see big enough.
Right.
Right. Because the bigger you see, right, that tell you how you're going to make the decisions and the steps to get there.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So you want to see as big as you possibly can, right, from the beginning.
Yeah.
Because that's going to tell you what risk you'll take, what type of relationships you'll get involved
Correct.
in, what avenues you'll take, what skill sets you'll learn. So once I help people determine the end,
Big picture. Right.
right, big picture, then we back up here and we first thing we start doing is working on their mindset.
Right.
So it's been said that it's easier to put a man on the moon than change a man's mind.
That is absolutely true. Like that's one of the hardest things that I see in working with like the clients that I work with because unfortunately a lot of them are like first generation entrepreneurs, right? So then they're surrounded by family like, oh, I don't think you should do that, you know, all that type stuff or whatever. And we already have our self-imposed fears, right? And then you let people pour fear into your situation. So that's a whole nother level of we got to fight through what people have said. We got to fight through what you already believe in to get you to believe what is possible, right? So like you say, the big dream or whatever, they may have a big dream, but like the fears and what other people are saying is like hindering them. So you got to fight through those blocks in their mind to get them to believe like, I want this as a dream and I can attain it, right? Wanting it as a dream and making it attainable is two different things.
Right.
And you have to chisel through the barriers in their mindset to get them to that.
Right. So a lot of things like what our experiences allow us to do is to take people and mentor them to a place faster than what we got there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
So this is why it's never an issue for coaches and consultants to charge, because what the person gets, it catapults them to a place at our expense.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
So the thing about environments, and that's why I'm saying the paradigm is so significant, because the paradigm is basically the mentality that we have based on our environment, based on resources in that environment, based on information that's in that environment, and behaviors that's in that environment, right? So once the paradigm has been established, right, everything has to operate out of that paradigm.
Correct.
So even if you ask me to turn right, if my paradigm has been conducive to me turning left, I could want to turn left, but I can't.
Right.
You ever talk to somebody who's on drugs? They want to get off,
They do.
but their paradigm has them so caught in habitual behavior that they can't change. So the way that we have to shift the paradigm, or we have to change the mindset, is through repetition, information, and practicing.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So once you get new information, that's why learning is so important. Reading books, seminars, mentorship is so important, because it's through that new information, repeating that information and practicing that information, our paradigm changed.
Absolutely.
That's why me and you don't think like we used to think.
Right.
We've got new information, we repeat the information, and then we practice the information. So now we have the capacity to believe for the big dream.
Absolutely.
So
Yep.
getting that part set is vitally important.
What made you get to that level where you realize, like, listen, where I am now, it's not going to get me to that big dream. I need to invest in myself. And I'm talking about investing because a lot of people
Right.
don't want to invest in themselves.
Yeah.
Like, they want to get everything for free, and well, I don't want to pay this much for a coach and XYZ or whatever. But me and you know, like you just said, you went to the 10X conference, you did this or whatever. I invest in coaching. What made you get to the point, like what happened in your life to be like, listen, I can't stay here any longer. I need to invest in a coach to get me to accelerate my process. In other words, what did that look like?
Well, the main thing look like is my bank account.
Right? That'll get your attention every time.
So let me tell you, those who are listening, let me tell you what I would do, and I'm doing this now, but what I would do if I was starting out, if I was in the middle, if I didn't have a coach, I would find someone that I believe in their processes and their systems. I will pay them what they're asking me for.
Correct.
And learn everything they know.
Absolutely.
That would be the first thing I do. But what brought me to that place is realizing that, number one, nobody can do it on their own.
Cannot.
Right? Because even when Jesus came, he went to John the Baptist. That was his mentor, right? So if Jesus couldn't do it,
Right.
and then on the natural side, if you look at all of the successful people, all of them had mentors.
All of them.
All
Yes.
of them had mentors. So I believe the value that whatever your mentorship or your coaching, the value that you vested in that determines the return on your investment.
Absolutely.
So if you're in a coaching program and the coaching program is 10 grand, then chances are most things are really 10x. So you probably can make a minimum of $100,000. If you take that information and apply it, you take the principles and apply it, you listen to the things, you learn, you catch things from your coach, then at a minimum, you'll be able to make $100,000 off of that.
Absolutely.
So that tells you if you're thinking about making $1 million, you're probably gonna have to invest somewhere around $100,000 to $150,000 into a coach.
Absolutely.
Or coaching or seminars, products.
Mastermind, anything.
Mastermind groups, those things, I mean, they just make the difference. But my bank account, and then I knew that I couldn't get there on my own, because if I could get there on my own,
You would already be
I
there.
would already be there.
That is the exact same thing that I said. I was talking to somebody last week, and I'm like, listen, I know we feel like we can go to YouTube University and, I could go to YouTube and I can learn this and XYZ, but the people that are on YouTube are still not giving you the whole blueprint.
Right.
They're only giving you enough to make you realize like they possess value to lead you back to them so that they can coach you, mentor you, or whatever it is, right? So it's still only so much you're gonna learn on YouTube. And then and why do you want to exchange all of that time for free stuff, right? When you could actually accelerate your process, invest in a coach, invest in a mentor, learn it in a condensed or
Right.
shorter frame of time, and accelerate your revenue a lot quicker, right? Who wants to sit down hours and hours and learn this stuff for free on YouTube when I could just invest and accelerate my process? I'll use, for example, like you said, a coach. I invested in a coach. She gave me a blueprint for formatting my coaching program, right? The amount I invested, $15,000, but guess what? I formatted the coaching program the way that she recommended. I hadn't even thought of it. Like, I was already providing all of these services, just hadn't thought about bundling it and making it a package.
Right.
And based off her recommendation, I signed up my first client less than 30 days after she and I formatted that, and made my $15,000 back right off that one client, right? So everything else was profit. You can't accelerate your own process while you already in your head, because if you could, you would already be accelerating.
Right, you already be.
Right, you would have already reached that destination. And again, like Pastor Shelton said, I was tired of my bank account looking like it was looking right. I couldn't get myself to that next level.
Right.
So you offer coaching services?
Right, I'll offer coaching services. I don't too much like the word coaching. I like consulting, but whatever you want to call me, but because I understand, right? And it's like the church, right? So there's so many pastors and preachers and prophets and apostles because personalities plays a big part, right? So there are certain women that are already in this world that they are already designed to buy from you.
Correct.
The only thing is they just need to know who you are, right? Because they're going to be attracted to your personality, the way that you look, your dress, your talk, your swag, everything, right? So for me, I enjoy coaching, I enjoy training, I enjoy mentoring people because I enjoy seeing people go from one aspect of life to another aspect. And of course, you have to have your process. So like I use one of my coaching frameworks. That's something that I learned that was crazy.
Framework.
Like frameworks.
Yes.
You know, once you learn frameworks. So one of my coaching frameworks is DREAM, because I call myself the dreamer.
Okay.
Right? So I use the acronym DREAM. So let me give you the play if they probably know this already.
Give them the play.
So the play is everybody's going to give you something for free.
Correct.
Right? Because free is what draws us
you in, yeah.
Right? But then after they give you something free, then the next thing is I'm going to give you something that's going to take you to another level, but it's going to be minimal. To get what you really want, it's going to cost.
Exactly.
It's
yes.
going to cost.
Yeah.
So I use the DREAM framework. I use D for discipline, R for routine, E for education and economics, A for action, and M for, of course, mindset.
Okay.
And that's the framework that I use to take people. And that framework works. I got to go speak at a school on Tuesday. I'm teaching the DREAM framework. It's just at a different level.
Correct.
Right? So I can maneuver that framework any way that I want to. But you can't, I mean, mindset and mentorship, those things you can't and do without. And then you got to learn to develop frameworks.
Yeah.
You got to understand, for example, now this is the big play. So imagine a triangle, right? And I learned this from Myron Golden. To me, probably the best salesman on the planet.
Yes. Yes.
So-
and look, and he does it from godly biblical principles. Yes.
So
I just ordered his book. Listen, I didn't even know about him until like about a month ago. One of my friends was telling. So I went to his Instagram, and I was like, she was like, you really like almost like the female version of him. She said because he talks about biblical principles and da and this that. I said, well, let me go do some research on Mr. Myron.
is $150,000.
And yes, it is. Yes,
I'm
it is. Look, I
gonna
went
pay
there
it.
and looked, and I said, you know what? He going on my vision board for the last quarter
I
of
talked to
next
his
year.
brother already, his brother about the program. We can talk offline. I'll tell you, there are some ways that you can get there
Okay.
without paying the whole $150,000.
Okay, well, we're going to talk about that offline because
Yeah.
we don't want y'all to know the good stuff, all right? We want y'all to get to because y'all ain't at the $150,000 coaching level yet, all right? Y'all might be, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But okay, so Myron Golden.
So with making money, he tells you there's 4 values because all that determines how much money we make is the value that we bring to the marketplace.
Correct.
Right? So the garbage man brings that value, he makes $25. The lawyer brings legal, so he makes $200. So there's a difference in value, right? So the lowest level of value is implementation, right? Where we use our muscles. People who work in the service industry in the city, or someone who works at the store, wherever, right? They use their muscles to work.
Correct.
That person works between minimum wage and about $80,000. That's the lowest level, right? Then after implementation, there's unification. Unification are managers and supervisors.
Okay.
So at implementation, you do the thing.
Right.
At unification, you
supervise.
manage the people
Right.
that do the thing.
Correct.
Right. Those people make between about 40 and about 250,000. Right. Now the higher 2 levels are both spiritual.
Okay.
The next level is communication. Speakers, authors, consultants, actors, athletes, right? That the communication level, those people make between 250 all the way up to probably 30, 40 million dollars.
Correct.
Then the highest level of value is imagination. And it's where you use your mind
Your
and
brain.
your money.
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
So when you understand that framework, now you can see where you are
Right.
on that
In the pyramid.
Right. And
yeah.
now you know what you need to do. You need to get to a place where you use your mind and your money, which is a place of creativity. So here's what Myron says. He says, whenever you meet someone, like when I meet someone, I tell them, hey, look, I'm Shelton D. Johnson Sr., also known as a dreamer. I help entrepreneurs, blah, 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 right? So that's important because when you meet somebody, what you tell them first about you is what's important.
Absolutely.
So he says, when God first introduced himself to us, he introduced himself as a creator. So this is
That's
why
true.
I tell people, there's no reason to be mad at Warren Buffett, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos. It's because whether they saved or not, they are operating in a godlike manner.
Yeah, definitely
Right?
are. Definitely.
So not only did they create, but to the capacity. So you take a guy that creates a service, and that service, the capacity of the demographic, say, is 10 million people, right? So we can determine out of 10 million people, he's probably not the only one doing it, somebody else is doing it. So he may only be able to service, say, 1 million people. Well, if his product is $100, we know his market cap is about 100 million, right? And that's if all million people buy,
Right.
right? Well, when you look at these guys, look at like Jeff Bezos, his market cap is the world.
Is the
Them guys are
world. Yep.
So the probability of him being the richest man in the world is very high, right? So when you understand these different dynamics and frameworks, it makes it easier for you to start scaling because you understand, I know I'm here, I need to start working every day, I need to move here. And this is why rich people don't mind paying people to do stuff, because once it free up their time, it gives them the ability to think and use
Think
their
more.
money to make money.
Absolutely. So you should no longer get to, what he's saying in a nutshell is you should get to a point where you are no longer exchanging time for money.
Right.
Because it allows you the freedom to think more. And when you have the flexibility of thinking more, you're able to create more ways to generate revenue without you physically exchanging your time for money or
Right.
physically doing work. Because I guarantee you, if you go to Jeff Bezos' mansion or house right now, none of the products that you see on Amazon in your Amazon app is at his house. This man is so smart, like he making money off you selling your products on his platform now.
Right.
He houses nothing. Like I could go and be on Amazon and Amazon just keep on adding stuff in different ways to generate revenue, right? So you have the Amazon fulfillment now where I create products and I send them to Amazon and all they literally doing is leveraging their platform to sell my products, boxing it and shipping it, and they make money off my products that I created.
Yeah.
Just to ship it, right? It's all kind of streams of revenue on Amazon. So just like they think, and I tell people like have the Walmart philosophy. Sam Walton created Walmart as a mom and pop store. It was a small store now. Now you go in Walmart and they sell absolutely everything. But Walmart is getting like an Amazon. Like you could sell through Amazon, sell through Walmart,
Right.
just like you can sell through Amazon now, right? So they're continuously growing and growing and growing. So you should be in a mindset of like evolving. Like even if you start as a small business and self-employed when it's just you at some point need to get to the point where that business needs to grow outside of you.
Right.
And it should no longer just be you. Like you have to develop a team. You have to want to scale that business. That business should last beyond you. That's legacy, right? We should be in a point of where we're trying to build legacy at this point. You should be able to leave that business to your children and your grandchildren and keep going. Sam Walton been dead, but that business is still going, right? It's still legacy. That's what we at. So I'm in legacy format.
Oh,
so
yeah,
your
by
framework is dream. Mine is goal. GOAL. So Goal Getter is the name of the business. Goal
Right.
is the framework. So it's groundbreaking of a legacy. So
Right.
just teaching people how to start building legacy, and legacy should live beyond you and your children.
Right.
This should
Right.
extend generations, right?
Right.
So that's pretty much my framework. But yep. So you do the consulting. Who is your target population? Is it men, women? Is it in the ministry? Like we could talk about, because I know you ain't. I just wanted you to tell the people that you're not just ministering to people in the ministry, because sometimes church folks
Right, yeah, I don't-
think
I
you
don't
should
too
give
much-
you
I
should
don't-
bless the kingdom. And God said, if the man don't work, the man don't eat. We need some money.
Yeah, and the church will be in a better place if we be honest.
Yeah.
If pastors and leaders, I mean, just the world period, we'll be honest that it's all about money.
It is.
Let's
It
not.
is.
I mean, let's just be
The
honest.
Bible says the money is the answer to all
Yes.
things. So
Here's
let's
what
not
that
act
means
like money
in
is a bad
in
word.
everyday context, here's what that means. No matter what we do,
You're gonna need
at
money.
the end of the conversation,
Yeah, you're gonna
we
need
gotta
money.
talk about money.
Yes,
We
absolutely.
gotta talk about money. At church, I don't care how great the service was.
You gotta
at
pay
the
them
end of
lights.
it,
You gotta pay for
the
this
lights,
building.
You gotta pay the building. You
Yeah.
gotta pay the pastor.
Yeah.
So I mean, we need to understand that. In fact, early part of this year, God told me. He said, "Shelton, money has become more prevalent now than ever before in the history of mankind."
Because everything's so expensive
Because
now. You
everything,
need it.
yes, you need it. And if you don't have the awareness of how to go and get it, it's kind of like when they say, the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the just. Well, we know that, but how do you get it?
How do you get it? Right.
There's only 4 ways to get it. You either take it, right? They can give it to you. You could work for it, or you can sell them something.
Right.
See, when I know the 4 ways, I pick the best one. I'm gonna
Right.
make the most money selling
Tell
them
them something. Yeah. 'Cause I sure don't want to beat them up and take
no,
it.
I don't wanna beat 'em up and take it. So, I'm really my it's not necessarily an age group. My demographic is really focused on the mind.
Okay.
Right? It's for that entrepreneur, and not just entrepreneur, for that person. Because everybody don't want to start a business. We
Correct.
have right at 32 million businesses in America. Of the 32 million, 25 million of those businesses are manned by just one person, which is the owner.
Owner, right.
So it's not so much just to an entrepreneur, it's to a person that really wants to go to the next level, which ultimately is to focus on the dream.
Correct.
So that's my ideal person, is the person who wants to focus strictly on the dream. And I help you go from where you are in your mind
to get to that.
to get to
right.
your dream.
So understanding what the dream is and kind of reverse engineering from
Right,
that
reversing.
dream.
And then I also help you because sometimes people don't really understand the context of how to bring the dream together. Because the dream is also tied to your purpose. So
Correct.
sometimes people have the dream, but they don't have the purpose, right? So now we got another issue. And a key thing is once you know those things, and that's why I keep talking about knowledge, once you know those things, you continue to learn and growing. You know things now that allows you to leapfrog once you know. So yeah, that's my ideal client, is that person specifically. Your focus is the dream, right? And a lot of times people come to me and I talk to them. I'm like, call me when you change your dream to about 100 times bigger than what you told me.
Because it ain't big enough.
It ain't big enough.
Have you encountered people that don't even know what to dream for? Like they don't even know what their dream life will look like?
Yes.
Isn't that amazing? Like
Yes.
people don't even know, like, I don't even know what, I'm just winging it in life. I don't even know what to dream for. So how do you encourage that person?
So the thing about it is first I let them talk, right? Because once you let people talk, they start to tell you. You get familiar with what they like, what they don't like. You can't have a dream without things,
Right.
right? You
Correct.
gotta have things in the dream, because things are motivating, right? So I start to identify, listen to them, start to identify, right? And then we discuss. You know, hey, well, you want a house? Okay, yeah, I heard you say you would like a nice house. How nice of the house do you want, right? Do your current job or at your current level of business, would it afford that house? No. So then we need to go to a new level.
Correct.
Right? You want to be able to build your mama house, X, Y, Z. So once we start to formulate the dream of what you want to accomplish on the first, and I'm listening to you, we discuss, because a lot of what mentorship is pulling out and pouring in.
Correct.
Right, so we get to extract information from them, and then we get to pour into information that will better help them get to where they need to be, and also help us better understand
And even
them.
pulling out things that's hindering them from getting there.
Right, which is
Behaviors, thoughts, all that
behavior,
other stuff.
right. So and identifying triggers, that is a big part of behavior. So yeah, it's really enlightening in a way when you meet someone who don't know, what the dream is about, what they really, really want out of life. And believe it or not, I meet those people more often than not.
Yep. I
Even in
believe that.
business, right? People in business, they know they want to make money, but they don't know what the dream is, right? They don't know how to identify the dream. The dream is not written down somewhere. They're not confessing according to the dream, right? So putting the systems and the frameworks in place, helping them identify that is a big part of the process.
Absolutely. Yesterday, I had the privilege of going to speak to a bunch of high school juniors and seniors at an event that the Memorial Foundation hosted at Xavier University. And so, it was naturally, they're trying to get them to go to college and all this great stuff or whatever. And I was like, well, you all have had, some great speakers to encourage you to go to college. College is great,
Right.
It's not for everybody, but college is great,
Right.
I have 2 college degrees. I don't use either one of them,
Right.
And one of the things that I was saying, like, a lot of times, even like school counselors or whatever try to, format the brain and say, okay, well, these are professions, they do the little battery testing or whatever, and these are the professions that align with your personality and X, Y, Z. But I think that we need to go a step further to say, like, what is your dream life? Like you're talking about,
That
right?
tells you everything.
Exactly. So I told them, and I was like, I'm not really here to talk about college. I'm here to talk about, like, your life beyond college, because you have to live beyond that.
Right.
What does that dream life look like, right? And then you have to make sure, so once you go all the way down the line and say, this is what my dream life looks like, then you have to go back to this profession to see if that profession generates enough revenue to get you to that dream
it's
life,
not,
right?
right.
And if it's not, then you
got a
need to
problem.
figure out something else, right?
Right.
Don't decrease the capacity of your dream life. Figure out how much you can make enough revenue here to get you to that, right? And I say, and that's something they didn't teach us in school, but I teach my clients on a consistent basis now. So I want to leave y'all with that. Determine what the revenue is and what you're going to need to match that dream life. And if it's out of alignment, then you have to do something else.
Right.
Because a lot of times what I realize, because even in my profession, like getting a degree in mental health counseling or whatever, in my mind, I was like, I just want to help people, and that's what we say. You hear a lot of the children say, oh, I want to do this because I want to help people, But is it going to help you? Right?
If it don't help you.
If it don't help you, then
It
it's
ain't gonna help you very
self-defeating, right?
long.
Yes,
Right.
So I was like, even with a master's degree, when I left full-time employment and went to full-time entrepreneurship, with a master's degree, I was making $40,000 a year.
Right.
Who can live off $40,000 a year? I mean, I know somebody can live
You
off
ain't
it.
gonna dream of it.
Exactly. You know, you barely paying bills. I was telling them, I was like, listen, the old people used to say used to rob Peter to pay Paul. I was robbing Peter and Paul. I couldn't pay none of them. You know what I
Right.
mean? So I was like, I had to figure out something else that would allow me to align with my passion and meet that dream life, right?
Right,
I
right.
say in entrepreneurship was the avenue that I had to go into in order to make enough revenue to align with my dream life, because the profession was not going to do it. It just wasn't making enough revenue to do
Right.
that.
And I was fortunate. I wanted to teach when I was like 13. I knew I wanted to be a
I
teacher.
wanted to be a teacher too, and then I realized
But the catch was
they didn't make enough
I knew
money
they didn't
either.
make enough money. So I knew I wasn't going to be into the public school system teaching, you know, even at the college level.
right.
So once I identified that, here's the catch, right? So with education, right? Here's what I teach people. Education only has two major reasons, right? Number one, they train the brain to think analytically and sound, right? That's why we're teaching concepts, so it trains the brain how to think. That's the first reason for education. The second reason for education is because in capitalism, you need employees.
Correct.
So it trains people to be employees, right? So once you look at your life, and I know that, right? I have that information. Now I can assess whether education is going to do it for me, institutionalized education, or self-educating, right? Two totally different things.
Yep.
So I have a 8-year-old son and a 10-year-old daughter, and I have a 28-year-old daughter. Well, the two that are in elementary school, right? I am, if they pass, great, right? My number two things is no math and no English. And the third thing is be friends with the smartest people in your class.
Should be. Yep.
Now, the reason for that is because I teach them, if you hire the smartest people, who's the smartest, right? So it all depends on the dream. So, I mean, what we do in self-education brings more value than someone with a master's degree.
Correct.
In fact, Warren Buffett said he has a speaker certificate from Dale Carnegie Speaking Academy, right? He said his speaker certificate is worth more than his master's degree. And that's huge, because I believe he went to Ivy League school. So understanding the dream, what you want out of life, whether or not what you want to do or can do can bring about that, it'll cause us to reassess what we really want to do. You know, is it worth putting 4 years into an undergraduate and 2 years into a graduate degree, and also getting in all of this debt? Because it can be circumvented. I have like 8 degrees, but none of them.
Right.
And I just
none
love
of them can
learning.
monetize the way that you want to, right? Yeah.
The way that I monetize this, and this all came from growing, mentorship, reading, and at the end of the day, I mean, you want to be able to live your dream life.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
Welcome across the stage of a university and walking to the bank. Is
Right.
like a
Two
walk.
different walks.
It's two different walks. It's two different walks.
One has a swifter pace and a lot more money attached to
Now,
it.
you get a lot of attention with
With the
throwing
wave
your
and
hand
it,
the wave.
but we don't need the attention. Give me the money, okay? At the end of the day,
Let
yes.
me walk in the bank and walk out. Yeah, so it's different walks.
Yes. Well, tell the people how they can stay following you and stay connected.
On Instagram and Facebook, Shelton Johnson Senior.
Okay.
And you can reach me at sheltonjohnsonsenior.com. It's my website where it'll walk you through many things, and I've authored a number of books, about 30 books.
Oh, awesome. So y'all stay in touch with Pastor Johnson, because he has a wealth of knowledge, even outside of the body of Christ, just a wealth of knowledge about financing, helping you to get yourself to the next level wealth-wise for you and your family and your legacy. So I do recommend that you all stay in touch with him. Follow him on Instagram, follow him on Facebook, go to the website and see what other services he does offer. So Pastor Shelton, I do appreciate you for coming, taking time to sit on the couch with us on the Mind TV series. Yes. Appreciate you. Y'all see y'all next week, same time, same place, as we have another guest in the seat to teach you how to move your life in new directions. Until next week, see y'all soon. Bye-bye.